Hey, Mark in the minivan. How are you, folks? I'm coming from an important meeting, as you can tell. Don't I look important today? Maybe I'll put the glasses on. Do I look more important with the glasses? Anyways, it's been 50 years since Woodstock, man. 50 years! Can you believe it? And, you know, I've been on a Vanilla Fudge kick lately. One of the most influential bands of the 1960s, Vanilla Fudge. And, you know, I've been hearing all this stuff about the 50-year anniversary of Woodstock, and I was like, why the hell was Vanilla Fudge not at Woodstock, a New York band? Why weren't they at Woodstock, New York? And so I picked up the phone, I called Carmine Appice, the drummer of Vanilla Fudge, and I said, why the hell weren't you at Woodstock, dude? Oh, I didn't actually say it like that, but let me play it for you. Here's a phone call that I made to Carmine Appice to ask him why they weren't at Woodstock.
Hey, it's Mark Strigl, and once again on the line with me, we have legendary drummer Carmine Appice. Always an honor to speak to this guy. Just such an influential person when it comes to rock music in general. Carmine, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, man. I want to talk to you about Woodstock because it's the 50th anniversary of Woodstock. But before that, real quick, man, I just saw this movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I thought was great. Quentin Tarantino's new movie, which is probably going to win some awards this year for sure. And the most important music cut in the whole movie, in my opinion, was your cut, Vanilla Fudge, your cover of the Supremes classic, You Keep Me Hanging On.
Hey,
Yeah, man, great stuff.
It's funny. Yeah, and in the movie, people get killed on the music, and it's not the first time.
No?
In The Sopranos,
right?
We were in the final episode, and Phil got killed to our music, You Keep Me Hanging On. And in the movie Zodiac Killer,
right?
They took the intro to Bang Bang, and somebody was getting killed in the taxi. I was watching the movie. I went to see the movie. I didn't even know it was in there. And I'm hearing this music. I go, oh, I know this music. It's Vanilla Fudge.
Right.
So somebody else was getting killed in a taxi to Vanilla Fudge music. I said, this is really funny. Every time we're in those kind of movies, somebody's getting killed.
Right. Yeah, that is funny. Cool.
Well, it was in War Dogs last year, and I have to remember where the scene was. Vanilla Fudge hanging on. So who knows? Maybe that was a killing scene too.
Yeah, well, it works perfectly.
That's funny, but it's great. Yeah, great timing.
Yeah, he really made it work with that scene, and it really the climax of the movie. But let's talk about what's happening. It is the 50th anniversary of the most famous rock concert or festival, whatever you want to call it, in history, Woodstock, and a lot of your contemporaries played Woodstock. Vanilla Fudge back in those days. You guys were on top of the world, and your friend Jimi Hendrix played. I know The Who played, Janis Joplin. There were so many big names there. Why wasn't Vanilla Fudge there? I mean, you guys were on the Ed Sullivan Show. You were really a major name at that point in history.
Our agent called us and said, do you want to do this festival? It's upstate New York. And it was in August, and we had just did that summer. We did a lot of festivals. And I remember, we did the big one that hits me is the Seattle Pop Festival, which the Mudshark scene took place in.
Okay.
With Zeppelin and all that, and that was Zeppelin and the Doors, and Hendrix and everybody. And there were other festivals that that month that we did around the country. And so it was like, the money was that everybody got about the same money, it was like $5,000. Bands our size. That was like a going rate at the time. So we just said, you know what? Festivals are so hard to get in and out of. I mean, like the drive-in, you hit all this traffic to drive in, So let's say you got to go on at 3 o'clock. 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock. You got to leave 2 or 3 hours beforehand to drive into the festival. And then if you took the helicopter from the hotel, then you usually got, So they were a bit of a pain. So we told the agent, forget about it. It's just another festival.
Right.
We didn't.
Wow.
Who knew? Who knew? So, like a day or so before that, we played a gig with, we were the headliner. We played a gig with Cocker opening up and BB King opening up, and I believe both of them were going to. I'm not sure
Yes.
about BB King. Did he play the festival?
I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I'm thinking he did.
I think he did too, because I remember we were talking to them. They both asked, "Well, you guys going to Woodstock?" And we said, "No, we're not going to go. We just finished doing this one and that one, And because in 1969, we were pretty hot. Zepp was touring with us a lot, and that might have been, because they didn't play it either, right?
Right.
Zeppelin
right.
didn't play Woodstock.
I wonder if they were offered to play
tour.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, we were probably on tour with Zeppelin too, so on the same dates, playing somewhere, because we played the whole most of the summer with Zeppelin that summer, and we just didn't do it, But they said you go, and I believe it might have even been the day before, the night before, and it was funny, because we didn't go. And we all, the agent offered us to go, but we didn't go. And then the next day came, and it became all over the news. It was the biggest festival. Everything. It was totally unorganized. All the walls were knocked down. The people were just jamming in. There's 5,000 people, and we were going, oh, great. Of all the festivals we didn't take, didn't take the biggest one.
So you had some regret.
Yeah, after the fact, we had a regret and said, we should have done it. But, it's like anything else. You say no to something, and it becomes very successful, and you go, we should have done it, But who knew? Nobody knew. All of these festivals had the same, the same thing. They had all the same bands and everything. I think what made Woodstock, so successful, in New York City, that had so many people. All the other festivals like Seattle, you didn't have the kind of population as New York.
Right.
And the other festivals were always in the country somewhere, but they were not, didn't have that New York population. We got 10 million people around the New York area. So, upstate and Connecticut and everything else, you had all these other states around, and just a lot more people to draw from. So, but hey, we never, regretted it to the point of like, oh man, that's the end of our career. We kept going, and it was fine. But there definitely was a regret there.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you something. We're talking about Vanilla Fudge. How is it that Vanilla Fudge, one of the most influential bands of the 60s, is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I mean, it seems absolutely crazy.
That's exactly what we're saying. And we're starting a campaign with one of the guy that does my website is a big fan of Vanilla Fudge and me. And we're starting a website. It's going to be called, hold on, let's look it up here. To actually the petition going to get us in the Rock Hall. www.vanillafudgehalloffame.com.
Cool. All right. And this is like a petition or something?
It's going to be a petition signing website. It's going to be so you petition to get the band in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And on all the gigs that we do, we bring in paperwork where people can sign on. We already had a couple of pages worth. And we just played Friday in Florida, 2 concerts there. So we're going to do that. And funny enough, I'm going to see Brian May and Queen on Saturday in Fort Lauderdale. I'm going to bring the petition and ask him to sign it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what you need. You need you need those guys. You need Quentin Tarantino out there saying something about it. They seem to listen to.
That's the plan. We're actually talking right now today. We have we have a new going back to a new management, an old management, that did when we toured with the Doors. He managed the Doors and everything. Now he manages the Cult, Rat, that Rat show you got. He manages them.
Oh, cool.
He manages, and he wants to, his main focus is to get Fudge in the Rock Hall. Yeah, as well as he gets to a bigger agency, and we're going to get gigs that mean something rather than all those bullshit gigs. That would, as you said, I'm just seeing what you're doing. You guys are going down. You're going downhill. You're not going uphill. And now with this Tarantino thing, let's take advantage of it.
Absolutely. So the guy who used to manage the Doors, manages Rat currently. Is that what you said?
Yeah. He still manages Robbie Krieger. Tom Vitorino is his name.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Vitorino Management. And he manages the Cult, too.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense because Ian Astbury was in the Doors for a while, right? And then I know Robbie Krieger was on Stephen Pearcy's solo record last year, so it all kind of makes sense. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, and he put them together with two original members. Still three original members, and it's funny, the guitar player I told you, Jordan played with us on the King Cobra Live.
Yeah, Rat's guitar player. Yep.
He's on the record, So.
Very cool. Well, it's always great catching up with you, Carmine, and thanks for sharing the Woodstock story with us on this 50th anniversary of that famous festival. And
I'll be watching you in your van.
Okay, Mark in the minivan. Yeah, that's right. And
there you go.
And we do want to mention that Guitar Zeus is just a fantastic listen. I have it on vinyl. I went and I bought the vinyl, which is just great. It is Carmine and so many great players, from Zakk Wylde to Brian May to Mick Mars to trying to think, Robin Trower. Who else?
Yep. Zakk Wylde, Mick Mars, Ted Nugent. I keep forgetting Tony Franklin, Steve Morse. We said Mick Mars, Neil Sean, there's so many, Paul Gilbert, Yngwie, Doug Pinnick, all those guys, and more.
Always great talking with Carmine, one of the most influential drummers of our time, and interesting story about Woodstock. So Vanilla Fudge weren't there because they didn't want to be there. That was my takeaway, kind of. At least until they found out how big it was. And, I have heard that about Woodstock. People weren't really expecting it to blow up like it did. Pre-social media days, pre-cable news days, word didn't travel quite as fast. And it was massive, man. It was massive. Most important, well, I'm not going to say the most important, most famous rock concert festival of all time. I mean, there you go. So let's do more of these interviews on Mark in the Minivan, because I have like 25 interviews sitting on my hard drive, and I do one Talking Metal podcast a week. And when I put 3 in, I just feel like 3 interviews in the Talking Metal podcast is too much. I prefer 2. So I'm going to start throwing up audio interviews here on YouTube in Mark in the Minivan. Well, we'll call it a Talking Metal production or a Talking Rock production. Visit my website, talkingrock.net. Drive safe. Keep your eyes on the road, not on the camera.